was just killer. Kind of played into the Eagles' hands. Those are my thoughts, man.
Yeah. What do you think, Travis? It just blew me away when I heard that they didn't even blitz. They just sent four. I mean, what do you think about
Yeah,
that, Trav?
So, so here's how I feel about the whole situation when it comes to the Chiefs. I was saying this when he came out of Texas Tech. When Patrick Mahomes is being pressured, he is the worst. On when it comes to stats, he's horrible. He's going to throw interceptions. He's going to make some plays that are going to wow you, but he'll lead the league in interceptions as well. So you can't have the perfect balance with both with Patrick Mahomes. As great as he is, and I still think he's the best quarterback in football. I do think that if you put some pressure on him, he's gonna mess up the game for you guys. But I think that wasn't as bad. They could have recovered from that portion of that loss. I think defensively, their only goal was to stop Saquon, and they never wavered from that. Even when they could have made second half adjustments to say, you know what, give him his yards. Let's stop him when he gets within 10 or 12 yards and just give up threes instead of touchdowns. They still chose not to do that.
Yeah.
So they didn't even put a spy on the quarterback. So Hurts was running all over him because they were so worried about Barkley that everybody else was killing him.
Yeah, it was hard to watch.
When you because he didn't even run a dime. He pressed everyone up on the line because they were so worried about what Barkley was going to do. The one thing about that is, who cares about the run game? Give him his yards, but when you get to the goal line, tighten that up and settle for field goals. He was giving up big plays, big chunks, and no adjustments. You come out the second half knowing that you gave up nothing. And I think in the first half, they had a combined of 26 yards total?
Yeah.
Offensively? And then they pick up a first down?
Yeah, they
Rushing four?
what was it? They said that the Eagles had more points than the Chiefs had yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the craziest thing about that, too, is all they did was run a nickel. Because they knew that we can put two on Kelsey, and then we'll put two on Brown, and we'll let the rest of the receivers get their yards. But he was so concerned about making big plays and targeting Kelsey when that check down wasn't there. He tried to run, and he had nothing. Another thing too is running got you to the Super Bowl. You had Hunt and Pacheco. You didn't run the ball at all. In the first half, you ran it 3 times?
Yeah, Pacheco wasn't getting it. They should have ran with Hunt, but I don't know what that was about.
Even still, you have something to make the defense think about. If you start punishing them on a run, okay, now we're going to have to put corners in. We're not going to put the whole secondary, press them up, and just focus on your receiving game. You have a game plans, but the Chiefs abandoned it quick. First quarter, second quarter, they didn't even run the ball. So
let's look at some stats here, Trav. I mean, their leading rusher was Patrick Mahomes with 25 yards.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
So, and you have Hunt. Hunt is one of those rare running backs who, when most running backs go to another team, they don't thrive, because that system, Emmitt Smith, he goes to the Cardinals. He's a shell of what he was with the Cowboys. Yeah. You don't have, even Herschel Walker, as a Cowboy, he's putting up Hall of Fame numbers. When he goes to Minnesota, he's not the running back he was, despite of the speed and all the attributes, But Hunt goes to Cleveland, which is, I know the division. They're horrible. And he still thrived in that system. Then he comes back to Kansas City, and he's eating up yards. Yeah. And you guys get to a Super Bowl and decide not to run it. So if I'm a defensive coordinator and I know you're not going to run, it's going to be an easy win for me. They did the same thing in Tampa Bay. The one thing about the Chiefs, when they get there, they either win barely or lose horribly. I mean, there's no in between with the Chiefs. When they played Tampa Bay, they gave up 7 sacks, which was an NFL Super Bowl record.
Yeah, they ain't blowing nobody
Philadelphia
out.
And give 6 sacks up. So
yeah, and now how many hurries? But let me just push back a little bit on that, because I do feel that how Philadelphia played on them, and because they got an early lead, kind of dictated what Kansas City was going to do. Like, right? I mean, all of a sudden you're down 24-0, or well, I forget what the
It was
score was.
24-0. Yeah.
24-0. You have to abandon the run.
You abandon it when it gets to 24-0. You don't abandon it in the first and second half. I mean, you got to establish it, because
Not
if I
unless you're
know
the
for a whole
Ravens.
half, no,
Yeah.
I know if for a whole half of a game, if I see that you're not going to run and now you're behind, I know what your second half is going to be,
Yeah.
because you've already showed me that you're not going to run the ball. So all I have to do is I'm going to put I'm going to put 6 corners in there, run 4. And who cares about the linebacker play, because they don't have to stop the running back. We only have to focus on your receivers. So when you make your game plan that predictable, you're destined to get your butt kicked in the Super Bowl.
Hey man, come on, man. This is hard. This is tough, man. It's tough for me. It was a hard watch, for me, because I just overall the whole game. My thoughts were that I think the Eagles just wanted it more than the Chiefs. The Chiefs, I think they rested on their laurels, and it was so disappointing. I mean, I'm watching the game. I'm a Chiefs fan. I feel like I'm knowledgeable enough to know how the Chiefs have played in the playoffs, and they take some risks, and they've been behind. I remember the year when they was behind by, well, it was down by 14, then it was down by 24, and I kept saying, "Oh, it's down, it's 14. Man, ain't nothing for Mahomes. Ain't nothing for Mahomes. It's 24-0. Ain't nothing for Mahomes. Ain't nothing for Mahomes. It's 34-0, dog." It's 34 to
Okay, so
nothing. I'm like, we're gonna get shut out. We're not gonna score. And I was
let me
told
ask
this.
you a question, though.
Yes.
And I hate to interrupt you, but I'm going to ask you a question. So we all are familiar with that fantastic performance with Doug Williams. First black quarterback to win, put up so many points on the board.
Mhm.
But what was the key factor to that win? They had a running back that ran for like 226 yards. Nobody says anything about that. Name a Super Bowl when the running game gave up, a team that won the Super Bowl gave up less than 100 yards rushing and won a Super Bowl.
Well,
You got to have that
I
balance
would
to
think
win Super Bowls.
I don't remember the Bears game. This game remind me of when the Seahawks played Denver,
Walter Payton had
when
68 total yards in that game.
when the Bears played the Patriots, and what was the other one? Seattle
Yeah, but
played
see, here's the
Denver,
thing.
and
Walter
then
Payton had 68 yards,
mhm,
but McMahon ran for some yards. William
yeah.
Perry had some runs. I mean, so they never abandoned the run game. They knew that everyone was going to focus on Walter Payton,
Yeah, but
but
I
they
mean,
still ran
but
successfully.
when you up by that much, you can run the ball. When you up, it's when you're not. My thing with the Chiefs was I was disappointed that Andy Reid and Spags, and on Andy Reid's side, he didn't add no tight ends. He didn't add no running backs. He didn't put nobody out to help Mahomes. Then Spags, I'm like, come on, dog. They running 4 people at you, man. Put an extra tight end and put somebody in. And then I was like, how come they ain't rolling Mahomes out? And then they start rolling him out, and it still didn't make a difference. I was like,
Okay, Scott, but you just said something,
what's
and
that?
you made the perfect comparison.
What's that?
What happened with the Patriots when they focused on Walter Payton? They didn't abandon the run stop. They stuck to that plan the entire game, and Willie Gold and everybody else scorched them. They come out to the second half, and instead of making the adjustments, they did the exact same thing that the Chiefs did. And they lost in the same fashion, more or less.
I think it's a little different though because those Bears were dominating. I mean, I didn't think the Patriots in '85 were dominating. I think they were just the best team in the AFC. I didn't think it was dominating. I mean, think about it. We've had some teams that won the division that you like. Come on, man, Cincinnati really the best team? When they played the Rams. When what was that? When the Patriots played the Rams, you're like, are they really the best team in the NFC? They barely scored 7. You know what I mean? So it just the game itself, it just disappointed me. As a Chief fan, I wanted some fight. And all that garbage time at the end, all that did was lose people money in their Super Bowl squares and mess up money in Vegas, man. I thought they was going to get to the spread for a minute. But when Jalen Hurts threw that dime to Devontae Smith, I was like, it's over. It is over. I don't care what the Chiefs do. It's over. and it was just so disappointing that they would come all that way. And Andy Reid's record on a bye week, it's man, it's almost flawless. But they didn't do anything to change. And this was me. Mahomes, I hate to say it, that's my boy, but I think he helped lose that game because
Of course.
I think without the pick six, that score would have been like 17-3 or something manageable. You know what I mean? And he's giving points away, pick sixes. And I thought the defense pretty good job. Like you said, they did a good job on Saquon. They did a good job with the wide receivers to a point. But after a while, you're on the field all the time, you know,
Yep.
and it just wasn't clicking for him. I was like,
Yeah.
Mahomes gonna do something here in a minute. It never happened, man.
Let
Well,
me step
Scott,
let me
you
step a little bit. Let
go
me
ahead.
because I'm gonna go back to my original point. Fangio had a plan. Fangio had a plan to take away certain things, and he also let those dogs out the cages, man. Them dogs came after Patrick Mahomes. They got him off his. They got him off his mark. They took away his first and second reads. He had to go that third read, and then them guys, those four rushers, to your point, was getting to him, right? And I don't know if he has experienced that in the AFC. I thought that perhaps Pittsburgh would have been a team that could have kind of given him that kind of pressure. Buffalo don't have enough dogs on their front, and neither does Baltimore. So they were living a charmed existence, so to speak. They hadn't really experienced a pass rush and a team that was healthy, that came in healthy, that can do multiple things. Get after the passer, limit the run, right? And to give and give you multiple looks for, do I have to stop the run? Saquon Barkley still rushed 25 times. 25 times. That's 2 yards of carry. They still gave him the ball 25 times, right?
You never abandon the game plan.
Jalen Hurts was 17 to 22 for 221, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's managing the game. He took a chance. He got that one interception, but he's doing what he has to do. But they're still committing to the thing. So they're giving you a dual threat. I'm gonna be able to run the ball. I'm gonna be able to throw the ball. I'm gonna be able to do all this other stuff that you're not necessarily gonna be able to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, to add to that also, I would say the thing that hurt them the most, one of those interceptions, because Patrick Mahomes historically doesn't throw the ball out of bounds. He
Right.
will scramble for 20 seconds in the back of the field and then throw it in the vicinity of a receiver.
Yeah,
Where most quarterbacks throw it
I
out of bounds.
I used to vouch for Mahomes because I felt some of his interceptions that the wide receiver tipped it in the air and whatever, but that was all on him. It was all him.
It was.
Yeah.
And he does that. And people don't understand that. Where most quarterbacks know, like Hurts, there was times where he didn't see anything, but instead of giving up the sacks, he just threw it completely out of balance where nobody else can get to the ball.
Come on,
Yeah.
Trav. It helped.
Mahomes is keeping it in the field of
I know,
play
but
when he throws.
it helps to
No,
be up by
that
24.
one.
No, but what
How
I'm
many
getting
games?
at is he never does that.
How many
He
games did
doesn't.
Chiefs win?
Huh?
How many games did Chiefs win?
15.
They won everyone but two.
They lost.
Or one.
I think
Or two.
They lost
They
Denver.
lost two.
They lost Denver on purpose, and then
right,
Buffalo's the only team to really beat them.
right.
They're the only ones.
So
That's what I was basically doing.
during all that time, Mahomes is playing with essentially different running backs and patchwork.
Well, he had Hunt most of the year.
Right? Isn't? I mean, his receivers. I mean, they're bringing in receivers.
Well, Brown was down for a little while. Hunt was in there for majority of the season. Pacheco was the only one injured in that offense.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, they lost Hollywood. They lost.
That's what I said. Pacheco.
What's his name? Rasheed Rice.
Because Pacheco had a high injury,
and then they lost Pacheco. So it was patchwork, but it was working, And then it didn't help that Kelsey had his worst year.
Well, let's just say this too. That's age.
Even though that happened, but Patrick Mahomes, to his credit, was able to navigate all that and still have a successful season and still able to get the ball. I don't know if it was him just throwing blindly or that kind of thing or making mistakes. I think it was Fangio. I honestly, I think that Fangio saw something. Fangio look at the tape, look at the things that he was saying, and was like, you know what? I think we can get him off his mark. I think these are his things that he looks for first.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
He came
second.
from a good coaching tree. He was actually part of Andy Reid's coaching branch.
Yeah.
So, but I also have to say this too. I mean, we're kidding ourselves if we're going to say that the NFC didn't have a stronger division than ours. The AFC was weak. It really was.
The AFC was?
When you look at Detroit, you know what I mean, and you look at Philadelphia.
I think Detroit started strong, but they didn't have no defense either. They let people score
Detroit
40, 50.
they only lost 2 games as well.
Yeah, no, but
but the Commanders end up surprising everybody at the end.
But Detroit did the same thing that the Chiefs did. They won games that they probably could have lost because they were like only one team scored 30 on the Chiefs. Detroit was getting blasted by teams, but they still would find a way. Remember the game that Jared Goff had 5 interceptions and still won? Come on, bro.
Yeah, but look who they beat. They beat Buffalo.
Yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying?
I know, but
so their division was stronger than
But how
us.
much did Buffalo score? What did he score?
I know.
45, 42? You know what I'm
But
saying?
who won the game?
I know, but what I'm saying is they didn't have no defense. So I push back that you say that the AFC was weaker than the NFC. I mean, come on, man. The NFC.
Okay, so
the
if we
NFC
were
had
to
2
match
teams.
team for
What,
team.
3 teams? They had Washington,
They had the
Detroit,
Commander.
and then you can say
The Rams were pretty good.
the Rams are okay.
They did well.
And then I think I don't know about Chris can speak on that, but I think the Vikings were kind
Green
of
Bay
just.
did well.
I think
Green
the
Bay-
Vikings were kind of
Vikings
just.
were good.
They were out of their league, you know.
But the Vikings did well.
You know
They did
what?
well. First time quarterback. You have the Green Bay Packers. They were strong. They were strong in that division.
Yeah.
And we had some duds. We had the Browns. They
Oh
were
no,
horrible.
man! I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about the top. I'm talking about the
Top
top.
teams is good, bro. I'm speaking.
I mean, they're pretty good, but here's the thing. Everyone's so big on Lamar Jackson. And coming out of the division that I root for, I'll compare his career to Mike Vick. He'll be fantastic in a regular season. I don't see him ever getting over that hump. When it boils down to playoff times, it won't equate. He had phenomenal defenses that he played behind, and he still couldn't get over that hump.
I think Lamar did his job this year. I think the problem with Lamar this year.
He'll get MVP numbers.
I know, but I think Lamar got outcoached, and that's not his fault. You know, I think he got outcoached. You know, I think Andy Reid outcoached him.
The players play the game.
Well, I know that, but I mean, you can't. I mean, Josh Allen doing what he does. And that's a defense problem there. Mahomes, how did that Mahomes
design? He's given a play and he improvises. The players win the game. Let's be clear.
No,
I mean, if you don't see what you like and you're a solid good player, and goes back to I'll go back to use a reference of my team. Terry Bradshaw called his plays. He's seen what the defense were doing. Peyton Manning did the same thing. Seen the defenses. He checked out of formations because he can read the play. Tom Brady, who won 7 rings, same kind of quarterback. They can recognize things, and then they can change it.
I just think that
just because a play's called into
I hear what you're saying,
they win the games.
But Lamar don't play defense. I think if you score 30 points,
he can't read a defense.
No. Go back and look at their games. Think about it. They score enough points, but he don't play defense. He didn't play defense against Buffalo.
How many times do you see Lamar checking off a play when he sees a defense trying to do something to him? No, he just breaks down the coverage and runs.
Listen, you guys are not giving up credit. You can look at Lamar Jackson.
like this. 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 Like this.